Hey DC Collectors, welcome to a brand new episode of the DC Collectors Weekly Wrap-Up. Now before we get started with the news, hit that subscribe button and that like button so you'll be notified of all my brand new content. Alright, so this week started off with a little bit of a bang and then slowly teetered down because there really wasn't much in the way of news, but then at the end of the week it sort of shot up really quick with some awesome news. So let's get started with the first piece of news that dropped this week, and that was a brand new life-size Harley Quinn bust from Sideshow Collectibles. Now this thing is based on the classic look of Harley Quinn, and it's costing you about $895. So it is not cheap, but it is a 1/1 scale bust, which means it's life size. So it's, when you put this thing out on your shelf, it's going to be the size of your head. This is amazing looking piece. The details on it, just look at the teeth, the way they're sculpted. Everything about this piece looks just absolutely fantastic. I'm sure this is going to be a limited edition piece, but there's no news on how limited it is. There's no edition size released yet. Sideshow usually doesn't release that kind of information till closer to the time this thing is set for shipping, and it does come out in 2021, but later on in the year, like closer to the end of the year. So the next bit of news came towards the end of the week. It was from McFarlane Toys concerning their DC Multiverse line, and they dropped the news of a brand new Build-A-Figure wave, and it's a little unique compared to what they've traditionally done with the Build-A-Figure waves. And also, the choice of figures was really unique as well. I don't know if this was a McFarlane decision or a DC Warner Brothers decision, because they go back into the past a little bit and chose figures or characters from DC's Futures End series of comics. Now, there's four figures in this Build-A-Figure line: Batman Beyond, Batwoman Beyond, Blight, and Shriek. Now, I know some of these people you've probably never heard of if you didn't read Futures End or you didn't watch the Batman Beyond animated series. Now, the Build-A-Figure for this is the Jokerbot from that series. And if you recall, the Jokerbot was basically this amalgamation of Batman and Joker. So both of them were captured by Brother Eye. Frankenstein, which would be a very good choice for an action figure from McFarlane Toys, sort of surgically put them together. So like one side of the head's Batman, the other side of the head's Joker, and this big robot body. Really cool concept, really cool action figure. If you see the pics that I'm going to show in just a sec. But man, does this thing look awesome as an action figure, and it has that McFarlane flair, that McFarlane evil, dark, sinister look to it that kind of makes me wonder if he didn't choose, or somebody in his company didn't choose, to go this route for the Build-A-Figure line. Now, the interesting part about this is how these figures are going to be released. So this is not one wave of figures. This is a one figure comes out this month, the next figure comes out a couple of months from now, a couple of months from now, a couple of months from now, and at the end of the year, you can finally build your Jokerbot. So the first figure coming out is in April, and that is Batman Beyond. And we'll get into this one a little bit in just a few minutes, because there's two versions of Batman Beyond. This is the Build-A-Figure version that we're talking about here. It comes out in April, and pre-orders for that should go up pretty soon, I do believe. Then the next figure to come out will be in June, and that is Shriek. Now, if you don't know who this is, it's looks sort of like the costume's really cool. I'll put a picture right here so you can see what he actually looks like. He during this whole Futures End event, Brother Eye sort of broke these people out of prison. He was one of them, and he was just kind of, instead of going back to his normal ways, he was kind of like kept all the humans safe, like refugees who were trying to escape Brother's Eye wrath on Earth, and he was sort of labeled himself as the Protector. So kind of a cool character, but really the coolest part is the way this thing looks. I mean, he looks absolutely cool. He'll look cool on a shelf, I do believe. I'm not sure which part of the Build-A-Figure he comes with, but he's number 2 in the list. Number 3 in the list comes out in August, and that's Batwoman Beyond. She is another just rendition of Batman Beyond, just female figure. But it looks, again, a figure that looks really nice and that will continue this Build-A-Figure wave. And then finally in October, you'll be able to get Blight, who is pretty much the villain. He was the villain in the first year of Batman Beyond, the animated series. To me, sort of has this radioactive man kind of look to him, or Phosphorus. What's the Batman villain? Phosphorus guy, Phosphorus man, or something like that. Dr. Phosphorus. I can't remember his name, but if you remember, just leave a comment and tell me. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. But he is going to make a really cool looking villain too. They didn't have this one in figure form to show us. They just pulled up a picture of the book and said this is what he's going to look like, because honestly, he doesn't come out till October, so you're not. Probably don't have anything ready to actually show, like prototype form to show for him just yet. And in October, you will be able to complete your Jokerbot action figure. Now, the very first one, we do know the Batman Beyond comes with the torso of the Jokerbot, so you'll get that at the very beginning. You'll be able to see the head, the way it turns around, all the way around, and you get the Batman and the Joker on each side. Really, really cool concept. Now, the thing about this Batman Beyond figure is a couple of weeks ago, Todd McFarlane showed off a different version of Batman Beyond, and this one doesn't look exactly right. This one doesn't have a mouth. He doesn't have the fiery boots and things. And come to find out, this is actually a second version of Batman Beyond. How it's going to be released, I don't really know yet, but yes, there is another version of Batman Beyond that looks proper, has the mouth, has different accessories than this particular one, and doesn't come with the Build-A-Figure piece. So you have to buy this particular Batman Beyond to get the Build-A-Figure piece, and the other one comes single carded. One of the interesting things, and this is me speculating, is since they've gone back to this Future's End sort of series here to pull characters from, I'm wondering if we're not going to see more of Future's End figures, because this again is like a dark, scary timeline for McFarlane to explore. I would really like to see a Frankenstein figure from McFarlane Toys. He seems like he'd be right up their alley, but he is a D-list character, and Batman sells, and we have to have really popular characters to help this line continue to be put out on a regular basis like it is. So I'm wondering what other figures that they will pull, or what other characters they'll pull from the Futures End line, and if we'll get just a dedicated Futures End wave. I don't know. I know some of this has been pushed back because the rumors are, and I believe it's probably true, we're getting Snyder Cut action figures in the DC Multiverse wave, in the DC Multiverse line, and those will probably come out. I would say summer. That'd be a good timeline, because you want to kind of capitalize on the release of the Snyder Cut, which is by all accounts March, at some point in March. So anytime after that, I would expect that we would see those Snyder Cut figures. So this kind of pushed everything back a little bit, but these are some absolutely cool action figures, and the future of McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line looks bright. I mean, they're just coming out of, with characters from left field that you didn't expect, and that really, really make this line pop and give it that McFarlane-esque look and feel to it. Because when he signed up for this license, I knew that it wasn't just going to be Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, all in their classic looking uniforms. You're talking about the creator of Spawn, the guy who drew Venom. He wants dark, eerie characters, and he's digging deep and going to find these cool action figures. And you could tell by Wave 1 when he released the Hellbat armor, Superman Unchained. He wants stuff that looks cool on a shelf, and I can't blame him. That's what's going to sell. All right, so that is it for this week of DC Collectors News. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you did, hit that subscribe button and that like button. Also, check me out on DCCollectors.com. I'm building a database of all DC Comics action figures, statues, that sort of cool stuff. And it gets bigger each day. I try to add a few things every day to help this thing grow. And remember, I'm just starting out, so it's not big at all. And it's hard, and it's time consuming to add stuff to it. But you can also find me on social media at DC Collectors on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right. See you guys next week.